Welcome to the Flex Rental Solutions webinar. Today we're going to be talking about the Safe Work Methods feature that we've implemented in the Flex system. Just a little bit of background about this feature and why it was implemented and how. We had a customer, I believe it was one of our customers from Australia, because I know that in Australia they do have a pretty tightly regulated safe work method statement program that they use there. And so I just found this on Google. I just Googled Safe Work Methods Australia, and it kind of shows a little bit of the government mandates regarding safe work method statements and things like that. And so what our customer was looking for was an easy way to be able to fulfill the requirements for these safe work method statements directly out of Flex, so that they didn't have to double their work by creating a pull sheet with a bunch of items and then a safe work method sheet with all the information about any items that need a statement attached to it. So that's kind of where this feature came from. It was requested by one of our customers, but now, of course, it's all available to all of our customers. And you may or may not live in a country that requires a safe work method statement. But the purpose of this webinar is to kind of look at how this feature works within Flex, and you might be able to find some ways to implement it in your system, in your day-to-day work that maybe aren't the intended, or maybe isn't the intended purpose that we designed this feature for in the first place. So let me just show you a couple of basic setup things that we have to look at first. First, we'll go to our System Settings menu and click Safe Work Methods. And this is where the actual safe work method information will be stored. Basically, this information can be anything from just a quick listing of potential risks and procedures that are associated with a certain type of work. So you can see I have one created already that's just called ladder usage. Some risks that are associated with ladder usage, and I could even come in here if I double click and enter what some of these standard procedures are for using a ladder. Make sure the base is on a level surface, things like that. You can literally put anything you want into these fields. There's not necessarily any restriction, or there might be a character limit, but really it's just whatever you put in there. And you could create as many of these safe work method statements as you want. So I might create one for lithium batteries or something like that. So just things like this. I mean, this may not be 100% accurate, but you get the idea of what the types of things you might be creating for these safe work methods. Basically, you're going to be creating a number of these, and then you can assign them to certain inventory groups, so that whenever you use inventory from those groups, then you can print out a safe work method that will attach any of these pre-configured statements that you've created. Let's create just a couple more just so we can kind of get a good idea of what you might have in here. And then you might put something in here about attaching the right connections to each other and in what order, things like that. And of course, I haven't put anything into the personal protective equipments yet, but we could certainly do that for some of these as well. So I have a few different safe work methods set up in my system now. Let's look at how I can actually assign those to an inventory group, and then we'll look at the process from there. Let's start with something pretty basic like, and this is one that I've already done, my scenic elements. A lot of times when you're setting up scenic elements, you might be using a ladder. So what I've done was I right-clicked on the scenic elements group, Then I click Inventory Group Manager. And then I click Edit Inventory Group. You'll notice near the bottom of this Edit Inventory Group window is where you can choose Safe Work Methods. So you'll just check the box next to any method that you want to be applied to that inventory group. And so I already have ladder usage checked. Just click Update. So maybe in my Power and Power Distros group, I'd right-click, click Inventory Group Manager, then click Edit Inventory Group. And now I can assign the Power Distros Safe Work Method statement to that inventory group. So again, if I were to put any item onto a quote or pull sheet from this group, then I would have the ability to print a report that shows all of the safe work methods for any item that belongs to a group that has a safe work method assigned to it. I didn't have any items in this group, so let's just create a quick one just so we can actually put it onto a job and show you how this works. So now I have an actual item inside of this group, and remember that I assigned in the inventory group settings the safe work method of Power Distros. The last one I had was batteries. So this might not necessarily be the type of battery that I was talking about in that safe work method, but I could do the same thing here on my expendables or the entire show accessories group, or maybe I just have an entire group that's just called batteries, rechargeable batteries, things like that. Just go to Inventory Group Manager, Edit Inventory Group, and then choose the safe work method. Chris and I were making a joke about this the other day about if you happen to have the new Galaxy Note 7 in your inventory, then you could put a safe work method on there that talks about how it explodes and is now an unsafe phone to use. So things like that are the things that we're looking at. So now that we've assigned safe work methods to certain groups, let's actually go create a job now and use some of the items that belong to those groups. So I'm not going to fill out all the information here. I just want to create a simple quote. And then I'm going to put a few of these items onto this quote. We'll do the Power Distro. Let's do some of these batteries. Quantities and availability don't really matter to me right now. All I'm doing is just putting these items onto a quote so that we can look at how we can print the safe work method for any of these items. Now I'm just putting items that belong to groups that have safe work methods. I could put a bunch of other items on here too that don't necessarily have a safe work method assigned to it. So essentially I'd just be building a quote like normal. And that's kind of the idea behind all of this, is that you could set up those safe work methods, assign them to certain groups, and then it's basically just setting it and forgetting it. Once you've set it up once, then you don't have to do it again. You could just build your quotes like normal, and then if you happen to put on an item that belongs to a group with a safe work method, then you'll be able to print out that document. Now we can't necessarily print it out from a quote. If we go to our report preferences, and if we look at the safe work methods report that will be eventually running from a pull sheet, it doesn't actually show that information there. My mistake. I thought it showed it here. But what I do know is that this report is only set up to be run from equipment lists. And so we won't be able to enable it for a quote and run it from a quote. We'll only be able to do it once we have a pull sheet created. So let's confirm this job and create a pull sheet. And you'll notice that one of the report options that I have from my pull sheet is to print the safe work method statement. If you don't see this in your system, let me show you how you can enable it. Go to the Projects menu, click Project Elements, and since we're working with the pull sheet, let's double-click Pull Sheet. And then we're going to go over to the Reports tab, because we want to look at all of the report settings for pull sheets. And then scroll down the instance level reports, just find Safe Work Method Statement. Make sure that's checked, and then click Update. And then if you have any pull sheet that's currently open, you'll just have to reload it so that you'll be able to see that new report that you just enabled. So let's print this really quick and we'll see what it looks like. You'll see there's not really any options besides the basic, what's your format, paper size, and orientation. And then this is what we get. So it will basically say what the event name is, if you have client, venue information, all of that. And then it will list off the safe work methods that are associated with items that are on that job. So it isn't necessarily going to list the items that these safe work methods are applied to, but this is just telling us since we have items that belong to a group that has the safe work method assigned to that group, then it's going to list off that safe work method on this report. So for example, if we go back and let's say that we don't need these batteries anymore. So we'll delete the batteries and we'll delete it from the quote as well. So we no longer have that on the pull sheet. When we print the safe work method now, it's only going to show the safe work methods for items that belong to groups that have those safe work methods set up. So it removed that lithium battery one since we no longer have batteries on this job. And so that's how you can print that safe work method statement. Now you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but I don't want to have to print out a pull sheet and then print a safe work method and then print anything else that I might print with something that I'm sending out to the person that is going to be on this job. So in this case, let's actually maybe start prepping some of this job so that we get a manifest. And we'll essentially do the same thing. Looks like I don't actually have any of these to prep, so let's just quickly add a few quantities. Because the idea behind what we're going to do here is we want to set up a little packet that we can print from a manifest that's going to show all the information that somebody on that job site might need. So that would be an itemized listing of everything that's being sent out. That might be the safe work method, etc. So we're just going to prep a few of these items just so we can get a manifest. So let's go back to our pull sheet. We should have a manifest created now since we've scanned some items out. And right now, the first thing you'll notice is I don't have the safe work method set up for my manifest. So let's go back to Project Elements on the Projects menu, double-click Manifest. And then we'll go to the Reports tab and just make sure that that's enabled. Check the box, click Update. And if we go back to our manifest now, we should have that report available to us. So I see a question in the chat room that we could look at really quick. If there are multiple items that have the same safe work method, then will multiple safe methods come up on the statement list? Let's see what that looks like really quick. So let's go back to our pull sheet and let's just drag a couple items on there. In fact, let's do this where we'll create an entirely new item. Basically just do the same exact thing that we did earlier. So this item's already in a group that has safe work methods assigned to it. So when I put it on a pull sheet, in fact, let's even take it a step further and let's say, I'm trying to think of a good example really quick that might, maybe something like projectors. If I have video in my projectors, a lot of times you're going to be using, especially with the higher end projectors, you're probably going to be using a distro. And so maybe we do the same thing here where we say our projector group has the Power Distro safe work method. And then we'll put that onto the pull sheet as well. So essentially what we're doing, or what we've done here, is now we have two completely separate subtotals with items that have safe work methods assigned to those groups. And if we print the safe work method statement, looks like it will only show one line per safe work method. So even if you have multiple line items that should have that safe work method, it's really only going to show it once. And I suppose the idea behind that is just that if you happen to have any items that need this safe work method on there, then it will list off here. It doesn't matter how many times it shows up on that job. Just as long as it shows up once, then it will show up here so that it will remind anybody, hey, just a heads up, here are the safe work methods for Power Distros. So let's go back to what we were doing with the manifest. In fact, let's go back to the prep first and just prep a few of these extra items. Oh, I haven't actually added any of those 400 amps, but we do have a projector we could prep. Again, I just want to get a few more things on the manifest. And then we're going to go to our manifest, and I'm going to ask that question again. What if you want to be able to print some sort of packet of different reports so that you don't have to go through and print each thing individually? I don't have to click safe work method and then click container report and then click whatever. I could actually set up my stack of reports so when I click generate PDF, it will send all of that. So again, let's go back to projects, project elements, double click manifest, and then we're going to look at the default print format report in the reports tab. A lot of you probably already know, if you've been using Flex for a while, you've probably set this up already, especially with your quotes or event folders. But whatever you set up in the default print format report for whatever element you're editing, so right now our manifest, basically what this means is this is what's going to print when you click generate PDF. So I could have it send my basic shipping manifest, and then it sends the truck pack list, and then it sends the container report. That's how I have it set up now. So maybe this is the little packet that I already like to send out with my manifests, and it's going to look something like this. Shipping manifest, there's the truck pack list. And my container report is blank because I don't have any items on this job that are actual containers. So let's go back to editing my manifest. Maybe we'll take the container report off. I don't really need that anymore. But I do want to add this safe work methods report. So I'll add safe work method. Oh, sorry, I clicked the wrong one there. So on report, I'm going to choose safe work method statement, then click add. And I can even change which order these are going to print out in. So right now it's going to print the shipping manifest first, then the truck pack list, then the safe work method statement. But I could drag and drop to change that order if I want. And then of course I could add some other report reports to that stack as well, but I just want to stick with these 3. So I'll click Update. We go back to our manifest, and now when I click Generate PDF, it's going to print first the shipping manifest, then the truck pack list, and it should be printing the safe work method statement. Maybe I didn't update it properly. But you get the idea of where you can set up that stack of PDFs to actually print out all of these different reports, including the safe work method if you want, if that's something that you're always going to be sending out when you click Generate PDF. So I can imagine that especially for some of our US customers that don't necessarily have a requirement to print out this safe work method statement, I can imagine you might come up with a few ideas of how you could use this to your advantage, because it's not government mandated in the US to do something like this, but you still might want something to be attached to your pull sheets or manifests that show this safe work method information. And like I said, you could set these safe work methods up however you want. You could put whatever data you want into these fields. All Flex is going to do is just take that data and push it to the report. So if you come up with some ideas that don't necessarily follow exactly what the field headers mean, then you could certainly put in some different information there. One place that I would recommend you go to if you want some ideas, or if you want to ask some questions about what safe work methods might be useful to set up in your system, just go to our forum, go to the webinars board, and you can click the webinar for today and just reply to that, ask any questions, get some advice from other Flex users. If safe work methods are not working as you expect, and if you're having any technical issues with them, then you can email support@flexrentalsolutions.com.